Hello everyone and welcome back. We've been talking a lot about vampires lately, which makes sense as the Lords of the End Times will feature a vampire count update. We also know that there's going to be some brand new units coming in, so stuff for like the vampires, stuff for like the Tomb Kings, but we had to talk about the Vampire Coast. You see, one of the Mortarchs, LUTHOR HARKON, represents a faction in his own right, the Vampire Coast. Now, the Vampire Coast themselves haven't really had an update since their release. A few changes here and there, but overall, nothing's very much changed, and the reason is because they were never an army book. They were a 6th edition supplement and White Dwarf, and I'm still surprised to this day that Creative Assembly managed to turn it into a fully fledged army. It's actually quite impressive. But we're heading to 8.0. We're going to be seeing a lot of new things for the Forces of Undeath. Could we see some changes and maybe some new additions to the Vampire Coast? Well, let's discuss. I'm not sure if another unit can actually appear for the Vampire Coast. Keep in mind that really there's not a lot of stuff there, unless Games Workshop have been looking towards the possibility of doing that as an army for the old world, where then we could see that unit pop in. Sometimes that can happen, because, I mean, we've seen that with Cafe, and hopefully at some point with Kislev. I'm dying to paint up a Kislev army. But I wouldn't say expect something new. It would be nice, but I imagine that most of the attention will go towards Tomb Kings, which we already know some stuff is coming, and the Vampire Counts alongside there's like 3 legendary heroes that Nagash is getting? There's going to be quite a lot. That being said, probably Harkon, maybe just Harkon, but it would be nice if the others could get it too. Could get access to the Mortarchs if they ally up with Nagash. There could be some sort of event which will then give you access to these new units. Would be cool just to have something flying, heavy hitting, to kind of support all your shooty boys. Ultimately, the roster for the Vampire Coast is quite good. The only problem is it just needs a little bit of fine-tuning. Certain units don't perform as well as they should, which has been noticeable for quite some time now, but other than that, you've got a little bit of everything. Remember that they're supposed to be more focused on shooting, and they are radically different to the other 2 undead factions. The only thing I kind of find disappointing here is there is a clear hole that we are missing a legendary hero. And, I mean, I guess we could get something, but I very much doubt it. Legendary heroes are expensive because obviously those are named characters. There's a lot more that needs to go in with the whole Games Workshop stuff. It's just kind of sad that we're going to, the end times and Drekla isn't here, where Drekla actually is a big reason why Harkon survives so much during the end times. Well, survives in general. And I think it's important for every race in-game to have at least one legendary hero, a proper legendary hero at that, because it's so important to just have that little bit extra oomph for a special army, or just general specialized things. We're getting them slowly but surely. I just don't see that much content coming in for the Vampire Coast. Faction and Lord effects for the Vampire Coast Lords seem perfectly fine. They're a little boring, but, I mean, it does what it does. This is the great thing. This race is actually really fun to play because it's got so much to do inside of game. I would like some minor changes to each of the lords, however, like for example with Celestial Diaphin, you've got the Damned Paladin hero and you can summon Damned Knights as a unit, but it's just like a summon. It'd be really cool if there was a small building which would give you some Damned Knights and also some Damned Paladins, just because, she's a Bretonnian, she's a ghost, we got ghost units, kind of fits with the theme. Just make them limited, if anything, so you can only get a really small amount and you have to build more of those buildings to get more, kind of like how the Tomb Kings work. And I think that would work out quite well. Just have a little bit of theming there. I'd love something else for an Aranessa, obviously not a Norscan thing because she was thrown out of her tribe, but maybe some extra pirates. That's something that I don't expect now. Maybe we actually end up getting Dogs of War at some point though, because she's a mortal character. She doesn't fit here. She's the character that completely does not fit here. But I guess we're stuck with her, and it's fine. Some people do like playing with her. It's just mostly with mods. Hopefully in the future she can get something. But talking about priority stuff needs to be changed around for the settlements, right? Buildings are way too all over the place. Some units are way too far back. Not being funny. Depth Guard, they're cool and they're great, but they're not tier 4 and tier 5 worthy. They're tier 3 units, yet in a tier 4 and tier 5 building. It makes no sense to me. They're not that good. Obviously, there's certain quality of life stuff, like moving some of the very basic zombie pirates onto the main settlement buildings too, because it makes no sense that you don't have that directly there. It's a big reason why Vampire Coast players suffer a lot when you're doing a campaign. It's just So many units are really far back. You're incentivized to keep with the trash, whilst most of the other factions will start getting their good units by tier 2 and tier 3. Well, not even the good ones, but the ones that are going to stay there long enough. I think a big issue there also is that your basic military buildings go all the way up to tier 5. Well, some go up to tier 4, but it's just awful, right? That means that you're putting 6 slots into the major settlements. That's just not great. This is what I mean. It needs to be changed around a little bit just for the sake of sanity purposes and just logic purposes too. Have a good reason to use like minor settlements and have it for some basic recruitment. The basic military buildings should not go past tier 3 because there's a lot of stuff with the major settlements where you want to pick up, the ports, you want to pick up some infrastructure. Money is not that bad if you focus on the infrastructure buildings, but then you miss out on all the units. It'd be great if picking up the sea shanty verses would also give some minor faction-wide bonuses, just some small ones, but I've realized lately with playing the Vampire Coast that they're kind of screwed, right? So getting a little bit of extra help does help. Like, Harkon here, you're surrounded by demon factions which are going to go straight for you. Obviously, all the stuff there is out to kill you. Same thing with pretty much everyone else. The only safest one out there, I guess, at the moment is Noctilus, because he does have his island and it's very defendable. So having a reason to go about your business to go pick up those sea shanties should give you something more than a buff that basically is just like for 30 seconds. It's not great. The risk of leaving your areas undefended should also have a decent reward. I know some people are going to say that the tech tree needs a rework, but I think it's fine. What I would say is I wouldn't mind some extra effects coming into some of the techs, because some of them have just like got one effect and that's it. Well, it's for the majority of them, but in all honesty, I think this tech tree is in a really good spot. Few changes, updates to things, and that's it. No actual radical changes here. I would love to see a small update to the pirate coves because there's no real reason to use them. Unless you're going out of your way to areas that you wouldn't be attacking anyway, which would require an army over there, you don't really need them. Sure, they provide a decent amount of income, but your settlements actually do that just enough. And really, there's only one building there which has a lot of benefit there. It's the one that gives you hero capacity and recruit rank for lords and heroes. Again, it's a mechanic that I think most people just flat out ignore, myself included. So yeah, I think that the Vampire Coast just need a few changes here and there just to kind of spice them up a little bit. Think of it in the same line as what the Tomb Kings got recently. So it doesn't have to be an 8.0, or it could just be before that. I do feel like they need a little bit of extra oomph just to bring them in line with everyone else. If they can get a small update like the Tomb Kings got, they're going to be in such a good spot. I think a lot more people will actually enjoy them. They're a faction and a race in general that are kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. I'm here begging every single day, hoping that Games Workshop actually release miniatures for the Vampire Coast, because it would be fantastic. And I love playing them in Total War, but they have fallen behind. And Lustria, well, in general, everything to the far west has become such a shit show. It's getting pretty chock-a-block. Like the Lustria Bull is getting much more dangerous than it was before. And a race that hasn't really received any updates will, of course, suffer for that. Which is why I see people complaining about the Vampire Coast. If they do release an update in its own patch, I think they could actually work in like another unit variant for the Depth Guard. Give it like sword and shield, right? Hand, weapon, and shield. So you've got something defensive to hold the line. I think that's something that's been missing, because you've got like the halberd and you've got the basically dual weapon one. There's not really much there. It's not a lot, but as a free unit, why not, right? I'd like to see the Vampire Coast considered done, and I feel like that would just be the end of it. Again, I'm not expecting another DLC for them, not even a character pack, and I couldn't be proven wrong. They could actually do one. It's just, I don't feel like there's a lot going on there. Unless Games Workshop are actively working on a Vampire Coast faction for the old world, there's not really much that can be done. Or they go into like some real deep cuts, but even then, it's like, I feel like the faction's a pretty good spot. Just a small change here and there, and it's all good. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. Hopefully it won't be too long until Creative Assembly come back and we start seeing some news on, well, the first character pack. I think that's likely going to be first before Lords of the End Times, but we're going to have to wait and see.